Good morning, everybody. I welcome you to this episode of Contracts and Disclosures. My name is Dan Frigerio with the JRP Group. Here at the JRP Group, we're putting together a series of YouTube videos in which we're promoting out and talking about everyday contracts and disclosures that we use in our real estate industry. We definitely recommend that you always talk with your sales manager and broker to how these particular forms might apply to you. And you know, right now, everyone is dealing and continuing to deal with the coronavirus. So today we're going to look at a few of the addendums that have come out recently and some of the updates and how they apply to you. So the first addendum we're going to be looking at is the PEAD addendum, the Coronavirus Property Entry Advisory and Declaration. And basically it's talking about a new declaration should be obtained from each visitor each time they enter a property. And they may be used for more than one property provided a copy is delivered to each listing broker. So when you're filling this form out, you want to start with the address, making sure that you have a new address each time you're out showing the property. And it's going to talk about, as you read through this, the one through, it's going to talk about the risk of this exposure that are out there, any stay-at-home orders that might be in place, purposes of the entry, the representations of all signers. And then as you continue to read down, are there any exceptions to the representations that are being made? And let's say, for example, there might be a specific agreement that's in place. So you want to make sure that you note that. And it's initialed by whoever the entrant of the property is going to be. So it's going to be the entrant's initials. And then you're going to continue down. The agreement declaration, the assumption of risk by signing below. You are declaring the foregoing is true, that you agree to take all the recommended and reasonable actions to protect yourself and others from the exposure of COVID-19. And basically, this is what the addendums and what we're really trying to accomplish at this point is just making sure that everyone stays safe, that we're able to continue to show our properties, be able to work with our clients in the most safest way as possible. If you're representing the seller and or possibly the buyer, you're going to be checking these boxes and then signing at the applicable lines below. You'll have the name printed, signature, buyer's broker initials, seller's broker initials, and the seller's initials themselves. So that's the PEAD form. The next one we're going to be talking about is the Coronis Addendum or Amendment. So this is going to be used with an offer or a counter offer or an amendment or after an acceptance. So again, we're going to be applying to, this is going to be a incorporated as part of the purchase agreement, or is it a counter offer? What is the date of that agreement? You have the property address, and again, you have the buyer's name and the seller's name. You're going to check this box. If this is an amendment to an already accepted agreement, this amendment shall be deemed revoked unless within 3 days or X amount of days or sooner after being signed by the initiating party, it is signed by the other party and a copy delivered to the initiating party. So basically you want to treat this as all of the other contracts that we deal with. And then we're going to continue on. So if you're looking for an extension of time, let's say you want to need an extension of time to remove contingencies, you're going to be checking the first box. And then you'll actually put in what is it that you need. An extension of time on the loan, maybe investigations or appraisals, wanting to make sure that we notify the other side what exactly our extension of time is going to be for. If we need extension of time for the buyer or seller to close an escrow, again, we're going to be putting on that as what is we going to be needed. So the first one we're talking about specifically an extension of time for a certain act. The second line is going to be an extension of time for the escrow. One or both might be applicable at that time. Or the last one here, it could be a mutual cancellation. The agreement shall be canceled upon acceptance, and then both parties will follow through with the normal cancellation of the escrow. And then we're going to signatures at the bottom. The third addendum we're looking at. We already looked at that one, so let's go back. So an agreement to the listing agreement itself. So the listing agreement, Coronis Addendum or Amendment, and it's going to be the RLA CAA. So this is going to be the following terms and conditions are hereby incorporated into the listing agreement. It's on the property known as, you're going to put the property address, And here you're going to put in the broker's name. And then you have the seller's name. And then if this is going to be an amendment to something that's already existing of a listing agreement between the seller and the broker, you're going to be checking this box here. And if it's not to an already existing agreement, then that will not be checked. So this is going to be some of the things that now the seller may or may not be wanting to agree to. So here it talks about the sellers do not agree to allow prospective purchasers to enter the property and so on. So again, here's the PEAD form that we had just talked about. So we want to make sure that the seller, whatever their wishes are, let's make sure that we adhere to them. Here they're talking about Section B, for example. They want to make sure that we have provide verification that they are financially set to come in. So the seller might be saying, you know what, I want to see all the financials. I want to see a pre-qual or some type of an approval letter that the people coming to my house are safe. They represent that they have previously viewed the property online. So right now our agents and all the agents doing a really good job of getting virtual tours or Matterport or something along those lines in which the property is being seen. So we want to make sure that as often as we can get the best information to our buyers and to our sellers. And again, we're keeping them safe. Marketability, as far as do they want a signage or not put up, any type of preparation and removing for staging. So anything that the seller and you are working on specifically as far as the marketing activities, you're going to provide that there. And then we're going to make sure again that we're providing all the necessary activities to the other side. We're going to initial and sign. And then we're going to continue with the broker marketing plan. If we need to temporarily withdraw the property from the market, we're going to be checking this box. Broker's duties are well lined out. Any additional terms that you or the listing, as a listing agent or the seller would go over, you go ahead and talk about this, specifically put that in. And then we're going to have the seller's signature and then the broker's signature. So this will be made part of the listing agreement as you're moving forward. And the last one is notice of unforeseen in the coronavirus circumstances. And I know that can be a very, very loaded scenario as to what can be unforeseen. They try to cover it as best as they can. Pretty much all of these forms, they do recommend that you talk with a real estate attorney just in case you need, further clarification going forward. So basically, it's whatever the party is, the buyer or the seller, is providing notice that there is going to be additional purposes not directly tied into an agreement. So what might that be? If there's anything loan related, like loss of income, let's say a notary appointment was delayed, lender delay or review of the appraisal delay, anything that possibly could come up on the loan related, you want to go ahead and note it here. Again, these are unforeseen issues that could come up that might delay the closing. Any stay at home or government orders, this is going to be appropriately checked. Any personal infact, let's say you've been confirmed a diagnosis, the government has ordered a quarantine, whatever the unforeseen situation comes up, you definitely want to note that. If there's something specific put in here, you want to go ahead and note that. Under other, verification of the unforeseen, you might make an attachment of, let's say you have a doctor's letter or something that is specifically being requested. And then we're going to go ahead and sign down here the affected party, buyer and or seller signature. So whoever's been affected will be signing that, and then we'll present that to the other side. So what we're kind of looking at today is just some of the basics of the coronavirus addendums that's going on. Communication, you guys, seems to be the key. As long as everybody knows what's going on, what is going on as far as what needs to be shared, that is what we need to be able to continue to do. So I wish everybody success and good luck. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.